Hi, it's Sari. Just a quick live in the car outside school again. So I just wanted to, because people, sometimes I talk quite a lot about people getting insights, and not everybody really understands what that really means, or if, they know what the word insight means, but in the context that I'm talking about, and also what difference that really makes to how you feel. So, because I put up a post the other day asking people to share their insights, the things that were really life-changing for them, and insights that really helped them on their road to feeling better. Because I'm going to put together a list of 40 different insights from my 40th birthday on Wednesday and share them. And I've probably got about 20. I mean, I could fill the other 20 myself anyway, but it'd be great if you've got any. Pop them in the comments of this video or anywhere else, or message them to me so that we can all share with each other, because I think it really helps others to get an idea of what they are. So, what is an insight then, and why does it help? Well, an insight is something that we realise that we didn't realise before. Now, it might be that on some level we realised it. So, for example, an insight that regularly comes up for people when they start learning about the three principles is that all your feelings are created through your thoughts. Now, that might sound quite obvious once you kind of think about it a little bit, but it's one thing thinking we know it, and another really knowing it on a level that helps us feel better. So sometimes you can have insights that you kind of almost feel like you've known all along, but you've not really known or believed it as such. And so why is an insight helpful to us? Well, when I talk about mind, thought, and consciousness, when I'm talking about consciousness, the way that we go from feeling highly anxious to much calmer is we have a shift in our consciousness and awareness. So it shifts. So you know that feeling where you can feel like you're trapped almost in a bit of a hole, and like it's never going to change, you're never going to get out of it. And then you can get lost in thought about, well, what if it gets worse? What if it doesn't shift? What if it doesn't change? When actually our consciousness does change naturally. But what happens when we have an insight into something and we realise something that we didn't realise before, that creates a shift in our consciousness. And when that shifts, it's like we get a form of clarity that we didn't have previous to that. So when people are doing my 1 week course, for example, and think, well, how is this going to help me change? Just listening to videos and asking a few questions. Well, the reason people change is because they have insights. They learn things they didn't know before on a much deeper level, and those insights shift their consciousness. And as that consciousness shifts, they have much more clarity, and their thoughts can get less, and that's what helps. That's what helps you feel better. So you have a shift in consciousness, you see things much more kind of almost from a step back, rather than in that hole feeling like you can't get out and you're stuck in it. So that's how it helps. So if anyone can resonate with that and does know of, some insights that they've had that they believe has shifted their awareness or consciousness, then let me know, because I'm going to share it with lots of people on Wednesday. And so I just wanted to share that with you as what an insight is and why it's helpful and why we want to keep going after these insights, because, and the reason we go after them is because they shift our consciousness. Hi Denise, hi Thomas. And actually, every time we get an insight, we get a shift in that. And that shift, it's almost like being able to take a step back, and rather than being stood at the bottom of a mountain looking up going, oh my word, how on earth do I get to the top of there? It's like you've gone up a step and you're like, oh, this doesn't seem so bad. And it's that level of clarity that we can go from feeling completely clouded, stuck, and in a complete thought storm, and feeling like we're never ever going to get out of it, to suddenly that shift just happening. And that happens through us having insights, basically. So that's why, hi Marie, that's why they are so important. Have you ever suffered from depression? Well, I have. Again, I see this differently now, Thomas, but probably in the traditional sense that you're asking, then yes. Because actually it's this thing of what comes first, depression or anxiety, chicken or the egg. Like, it's very difficult to feel anxious for long periods of time and overwhelmed without having depressive thoughts, because it's draining, it's exhausting, and it's tiring. So I would say yes, but actually I do see it differently now. Well, without kind of it's difficult to go into lots of detail here, but to me, depression is a word that's created to kind of explain something and how we see it or how we believe it is. So again, I have lots of people that would present to me and tell me that they're depressed or that they believe they're depressed, and all experience that completely differently. You know, people might feel a little bit low and say, oh, I'm depressed, whereas some people may almost need to be having suicidal thoughts before they would consider themselves as depressed. And again, so I don't fixate on the word because it's just a word. And the way I deal with anybody now in coaching or any work is, like, whether you believe you're depressed or anxious or whatever it is, like, doesn't really matter, because everything you'll experience, if that is depression in your eyes or if that is anxiety in your eyes, again, is your perception of what that is or how bad that is. And in the nicest possible way, I'm not interested in that part, because we could get so fixated on that. But actually what I want to do is what I was saying right at the beginning of this video, is I want to help you understand more about mind, thought and consciousness so that you can have insights and your consciousness will shift. And so those depressive thoughts, anxious thoughts will change, because your awareness and consciousness has shifted. Can depression and well-being coexist? Yes. When somebody, to me, again, depending on what they mean by depression, every time I've experienced being, you know, low, depressed, anxious, there's always been evidence of that innate well-being. It's there all the time, but it can be clouded and it can seem like it's nowhere to be found because you're so caught up in depressed thoughts in that moment. But again, it will always shift, and your consciousness will shift naturally anyway, but it's certainly helped by having insights, which is what I absolutely love about Coaching the Principles. You know, never in my days as a psychotherapist did I ever have anybody come to me telling they had huge shifts and change simply through just learning a little bit about how things work, you know. And that's what's great about this, is that it's just understanding more about how mind, thought and consciousness works, and then as a result having insights, then as a result a shift in consciousness and awareness, and we just feel better. We feel so much better. Does that mean you don't then have days where you have depressed thoughts? No, not necessarily, but you won't see them in the same way. So it's not kind of like, oh, I've had them now, that's it, I'm in a depression and I might stay there for weeks. Like, it doesn't need to be like that. So I hope that kind of answers your question in a brief sense, Thomas. But yeah, so it's really just wanted to share what what an insight is for people, and I'd love it if you have had any insights, and they don't need to be earth-shattering. Often they're not. They're very simple and straightforward, but that can often have the biggest impact. So share them with me. I'd love to hear them, and hopefully I will catch up with you at some point, and I'm hoping to share that document of people's insights on Wednesday when I turn the big 40, or depending on if I get a chance between now and then, but if not, it'll certainly be a few days after. So thanks for joining me, everyone that's there, and I can see that there's people from my coaching club online as well, so I will see you on Thursday, where I've got some more insights to share with you about my weekend and a few things that have happened. So I will share that later in the week. Okay, take care. Bye for now.